Welcome, everyone. This is Marie Waite, and we are here back on the studio. And I have such a great guest today, and Brett Winterble. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show today. We're in the midst of working out of my COVID studio, right? We've got stuff kind of moved around, and
Okay.
it's great to be with you, Marie.
All right. Awesome. Oh, I miss you so much because from the last time we were at the Fire Up Live seminar, you did such a great job there, speaking and helping so many people at that event. That was at the Fire Up Live seminar. Do you remember that?
I do. It was a great, it
Yes.
was a great afternoon. A lot of great content and information, and everybody had a really good time. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, the purpose of my interview today is to let people know what your background and what you're doing right now. So let's start with the background. So can you tell us how you got started in the radio show and how you became a radio host? And I think you're also a TV host too. So if you can just give them some information, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. So I started out in college, working in a college radio station at the university I went to, which was Emerson College in Boston, and fell in love immediately with the medium. I always loved radio because it's the theater of the mind. You
Okay.
don't have the benefit necessarily of pictures and images and all that sort of stuff. So what I loved about it was the ability to tell stories and only be able to use words. The great thing about radio is it's simultaneously you're mass broadcasting, but at the same time, it's the most intimate medium that there is. Because if you think about it, it's a one-on-one experience, but it's repeated millions and millions of times across an audience. And I like that. I like that connectivity and the ability to speak with people in that way. Uh, I got out of college. I moved from Boston to New York City. I spent about a half a decade in New York City,
Oh, okay.
working with some different radio companies. Went to Los Angeles, went back to New York, and then came back out to the West Coast, and eventually settled down in San Diego for 4 or 5 years. And now I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, at WBT, one of the
Wow.
oldest radio stations in America. We're coming up on our 100th anniversary in 2 years, so
Oh,
it's an
my.
exciting time to be in Charlotte for sure, and I love doing radio there.
Gosh. So do you know how many listeners do you guys have in WBT? Is it
Uh,
WBT? Is that what?
WBT, right?
Okay. Well, okay.
It's an AM and an FM station, so
Okay.
we're on the AM and FM dial. Plus, we're on radio.com as an app. It's a great place to be. We have, Charlotte is a growing metro, so it's probably 3 or 4 million aggregated across. But our
Wow.
signal at night will carry all the way from Canada to Cuba, and it's a very, very
Oh,
big radio station. It's quite popular throughout the South.
that is incredible, Brett. I'm so happy for you because I know we want you here in California, but you ended up moving over there. Um, so can you tell us some of your best experience of your career? Can you
Mhm.
just share that to us, please?
Yeah, look, I've had the opportunity to interview all sorts of people, high-ranking politicians and thought leaders, business leaders. I've interviewed entertainment people, music stars, and what I like about this is I get the opportunity to speak to people from all kinds of different backgrounds. One of the things that I always like to that I've heard people say is, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? That's how the old saying goes. So
Yes.
you always want to affiliate with people where you're upgrading, you're moving up, you're hanging out with smarter people than yourself because you're going to get smarter as a result of it. And being able to do radio allows you that opportunity to reach out to people and to pick their brains and talk to them. It, Having done radio and television, I prefer radio as a medium personally.
Okay. And why is
Um,
that?
it's because there's a mystery to it. People get very excited about television, but when you bring people into a radio studio, it's mysterious to them because they don't understand how that all works. I do a 3 4 hour show a day, right? I've done 4 hour shows, I've done 3 hour shows. And so that's 15 hours that I have to come up with out of the top of my head. I don't have a script in front of me.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I like the interactivity with listeners. who call in and can talk about different issues. Television is a really important medium for what it is to convey information. What I think
Mm-hmm.
about radio is that's an amazing medium to convey context. Because when you
Oh,
have a cell phone, right, you got your cell phone in your hand, you can get any information you want. But what does it mean? You need people to kind of tell you what the different stories mean. And that's what I like doing best at the studios.
I see. That is that is good to know because just to let you know, Brett, I was asked to start a radio show here in North County, San Diego,
Hmm.
and I told the guy I'm not really a radio host, and he said, "Well, Maria, I'm good with that because he was looking for somebody who's like more local,
Hmm.
and he wasn't looking for somebody who's so polished, something like that."
Right.
But I said, "Well, that's definitely me. I'm not polished, but I wanted to experience it and just see what happens." But what I'm doing right now is I'm doing a lot of Zoom calls and Zoom meetings, which is totally different because I think for me, I like to see the facial expressions of
Sure.
people. And so it gives me a better way of communication because I'm very visual. But I can see the power of radio to where there's so much content coming out of it, especially as good as you, Brett. I mean, you're really making things happen for a lot of people when you talk to them about their business.
Hmm. Look, it's important, especially in this time with the weird world that we're living in with coronavirus and COVID. You know, business has changed. The business of life in America and around the world has changed, and so what this has caused people to do is a lot of adaptation. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
You've got to pivot. You've got to be flexible. You've got to be willing to work from the place you can work from, relative to everything else,
Hmm.
and that's it. I mean, there's a certain authenticity and granular feeling to it when you're creating stuff sort of on the fly in less than ideal circumstances, because it's real and it's in that
Yes,
moment. And I think I think it's a hugely challenging time for business, but I think even though we're not all working in central locations and offices and things like that, I think the productivity level is probably up more than it is in a
yes.
traditional office environment.
I actually agree with you. I wanted to ask you because I know you've been doing this for years, radio hosting. Your style of um, asking questions to people that you interview, I mean,
Hmm.
did that um, develop over the years in terms of how you were trying to get information from people or how you can get them to loosen up and be able to share what they have in mind?
Yeah, I don't think you can script out all the questions. When somebody calls into a radio show as just a person off the street, they want to
Hmm.
express an opinion. I like to talk to them for a longer period of time because oftentimes whatever their first or second thing is that they're raising isn't really what they want to talk about, and they eventually get
Yes.
to the third thing. The best interviewers, I think, have a direction in their mind and a focus on where they want to go, but you have to react to the real environment when you're talking to somebody. If
Yes.
if suddenly we're having a conversation and something spontaneous, a picture falls off the wall or something, you have to be in the room and acknowledge, oh my gosh, sorry that was just crazy that happened. Um, if you're too stiff going into it, it doesn't feel authentic. And
Okay.
I try to listen to a lot of different kinds of radio and watch a lot of different kinds of television, and you pick up a craft or a trick here or a trick there, but it's got to be more than the who, what, where, when, why.
Yes.
Why is, I think, a really great one, because if you just ask why and you keep drilling on that one, that's the hardest one to kind of dodge or get out of, because the person is going to have to speak to their self motivation as to why they made a business decision or why they chose a line of work or whatever that is. The number one thing people love to talk about more than anything is themselves. Why gets you to that content faster, I think.
I see. Okay. Well, I've seen you in action where remember Shelley Ruffin when
Sure,
we went to your
absolutely.
studio?
Yes.
Well, for a very short period of time of interview that you did for her,
Mhm.
you actually gave her so many business at that time. It was incredible the way you asked the questions, and that is where the talent comes in. And I truly admire the way you have done it, because for a very short period of time interviewing someone, you've given her so much benefit just by doing that kind of questioning. And that is, I think, comes from experience on all the years that you've done it, and how you're able to bring all this business to her after that interview.
Mhm, mhm. Well, that's terrific. That's high praise that's what happened. The key to, I think, driving business in that way is giving the audience something of value, something they can take
Yes.
away. There's a term that gets used a lot called social currency, right? And
Hmm.
social currency is something of value you take that you can then share with other people. An interesting fact, an interesting angle, something like that. If I recall, when we were doing the interview, we were right in the middle of that scandal with the people who were paying to get kids into college. They were
Yes.
paying off these university people. Well, that was top of mind for a lot of people. When that interfaces with what she was offering in terms of a legit, straightforward service that's not crooked, right?
Yes.
That's certainly going to get people's attention. And so I always try to offer sincerity and legitimate information, and I try to tamp down the hype when it comes to talking to people, because people see through it. They know it's not really true. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen, and it's not the way to go.
Yeah, you can't lie. People are very smart. So what I'm getting from this, Brett, is that you have to be aware of what's going on in the community, or even, with the topic that you're talking about, in order to really get that value for people.
Hmm.
And
You do.
and
You
yeah,
do.
and so that's part of like being prepared before you
Mhm.
even go on air.
Right. Yeah. It's hugely important to know what you're talking about.
Hmm.
I read a lot. I watch a lot of news programs. I try to look at the broad spectrum of stuff. When I'm not behind the microphone, I'm consuming content. I'm consuming radio and podcasts. Truth be told, when I get done at the end of the day of doing a political and current events news
Yes.
talk show, what I listen to is sports talk radio a lot of the time, because it's completely nothing like what I've been talking about, and I can clear my mind.
Okay.
For a period of time, for about 18 months, I was a sports talk show host in Los Angeles on KFWB, and we were the flagship of the Los Angeles Clippers. I did afternoon drive from
All
3 to 7,
right.
and it was sports for 4 hours with a broadcast partner of mine, and it was wonderful. It was great. The problem was, when I got home at night, when I would get home at night after working in news talk, I'd have sports to watch. When I would get home working in sports all day, I didn't really want to watch more sports. I didn't want to consume more of it. And
I
so I had
see.
no outlet at that point. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not going to go watch news talk, because it's just going to be a whole other. So it's tricky, right? It's a tricky thing. You just got to, I think the secret to being successful in any medium is just being passionate and being who you
Okay.
are, just being a real person.
Yeah. Well, I truly admire you. I mean, seriously. I mean, your record is amazing. Your accomplishment is incredible, and I'm sure you've made a lot of impact on so many people. What is one advice that you can give to people out there that are dealing with the situation right now?
With like business and
Yes.
motivation stuff like that. Okay, so here's the thing, right? If you don't try, right? If you don't try to do what you want to do and be passionate about it, then you're never going to know if you can succeed or not. The people who are going to tell you you can't do it have never done it. Like I could say to anybody, you want to start a podcast. You want to do a show, radio show, do a radio show or a TV show, just launch it. We've got so much opportunity now that didn't exist 15 or 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Pursue your passion. You have nothing to lose. You will go through life, and you will have successes and you will have failures. I started my daily radio show, I started as a podcast in 2008, and it started out as a 15-minute podcast one time a week. And then it went to 2 times a week. Then it went to 30 minutes. Then it went to an hour. And then it went to 3 hours a day in my home studio. The crazy thing at the time was I didn't realize I should be operating off of a broadcast clock. A broadcast clock means you've really only got about 35 or 40 minutes of content in an hour. The rest of it's commercial time. I was doing 3 straight hours of
Wow.
content, which was loony, but it made me better at what I did. And you just gotta keep pushing at it. You got to be willing to fail, and you got to be willing to leave it all out there for the audience to consume or not. Like we started this conversation, right? This is a temporary studio setup that I'm in right
Yes.
now. Okay. It looks kind of freaky, but it's what's working right now. And I was able to, I hosted 3 hours in Charlotte from the setup here because, I'm in the midst of a relocation and stuff.
Yes.
And so all I'm saying to folks is take the shot, because you're only going to regret the shot you didn't take. You're rarely going to regret the shot you took.
Okay. Now, do you also see yourself doing a lot of speaking and like live events? Because I know I had you at my live event. Do you see yourself traveling and doing those things still?
I would like to do it. I haven't done as many. Well, obviously because everything's shut down now, but it is something I like doing. I like interacting with the audience. I like seeing people, in person and talking to them. I like motivating people because I think there's so much negativity in the world
Yeah.
from people who want to tell you can't do it or you're not good enough to do it or whatever. And as I said, those negative people have never done any of the stuff that you're trying to do. So why would you listen to them?
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like speaking at events and showing up and talking to a live
Well,
audience.
I
It's a nice.
remember attending some of your events with like thousands of people in there.
Yeah.
And you were funny with all these other radio hosts. And I just love how you guys put that together. I mean, you were talking about political topics, but at the same time, it was funny.
Right. Yeah, look, the thing I have as a rule, especially doing afternoon drive when I know people are going home, they're on their way home, they've been working all day, my number one rule is I always try to not send people home mad. Like, I don't want to get you mad in the car and then you walk through the door and your family's there and you're yelling at them because I got you mad by something I was talking about on the radio. It's important to laugh, and
Yeah.
humor is what gets you through life. It's just life is a weird thing and we got to laugh at it.
Yeah, but that is also a natural talent of yours, because I don't think everybody can do that. I mean, they have to be either a gifted stand-up comedian or so there's that style of hosting where you can also be funny at the same time.
Yeah. It's just, if you're passionate about it, you can find the funny in anything, pretty much anything.
That's
And
true.
you can make people laugh, and it just loosens people up. I've seen people, I've gone to a speaking event or something and I've seen people speak,
Yeah.
and you feel badly. You go, oh my gosh, this is really not going well. And you kind of want to hide behind the couch and just sneak out of the room. But it's just, you just got to kind of roll with it. And here's the thing. Somebody told me once upon a time, a comic told me this once upon a time. If you don't point out the fact that you're messing up, most people don't know you're messing up. When you walk out onto a stage, very, very few, if any of those people in that room want to see you fail, because it's awkward,
Yes.
right? They just
Yes.
want to see you do well and get on with your life. And that's it. I think we build up these monsters in our heads
Yeah.
of people thinking that, you want me to crash and burn. I don't think that's the case at all. I think people want to see you succeed.
Yeah, and I realized that over the years, because English is my second language, so it took me a while to feel comfortable speaking, knowing that some of what I say doesn't make sense or I have all kinds of grammar errors. But now I am okay with it because I think people accept me for who I am, so it doesn't really
Right,
matter.
that's it. Comfortable in your skin. You got to be comfortable in your skin. You got to be doing the thing that you want to do. That's the important thing about
Well,
it.
I tell myself, if other people cannot speak Tagalog, why am I so giving myself a hard time? They cannot even speak Tagalog. I'm speaking 2 languages.
That's right. I know people born in the United States that could barely speak English anyways. I mean, people who are from here, you can't understand anything that they're saying. So it's, believe
It's
me, some
true.
of them have called me on the radio. It's,
Oh my.
it's, I want to say to them, is English your second language? What is your first language? Gibberish? I don't know what you're talking about. But it's a funny thing. Performance is a funny thing. There's times you're going to completely bomb. You know what you have to do at that point is just embrace it. Be like,
Yeah.
wow, this is going poorly.
And
And
then you maybe make fun of yourself, because sometimes I
yeah,
make fun of myself. Okay,
self-deprecation.
that's who I am.
Right.
I have a lot of friends that call me blonde because of the way I think.
Right. See,
I'm like,
right. Very well said. Yes, yes, absolutely.
but anyway,
Absolutely.
yesterday I actually interviewed Wellington Pendle, who is in charge of the Career Compass. You need to
Uh-huh.
get to know him. He is funny as hell, and I think the way he communicates, he teaches a lot of real estate agents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he also entertains like a comedian, and it's so crazy the style. And he's actually very hated by, I think, according to him, he was hated by the real estate board, but he was so loved by all the agents because of the way he
Very
does it.
nice. That's awesome.
But I think it will be a good person for you to connect, and I will connect the two of you because I think it's going to be awesome. I enjoyed my interview with him. I was laughing the entire time,
Yeah.
and I felt like, okay, that was one of my best interviews because I was laughing the
Gotta laugh. That's it. You gotta, life's too
yeah.
short to cry.
I think when you have fun, especially with the way you do it with politics,
Mhm.
because that is where I saw, oh my gosh, when I was at your event. I mean, that's why there were so many people in there, like thousands of people. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are so well known, and I was very impressed on how you guys did it. And I'm blessed by just talking to you
I
when I
appreciate
invited you to show up at my Fire Up Live seminar.
it.
And you
Yeah.
were very generous also by saying yes to me out of the blue,
Sure.
because I
Absolutely.
just,
Right.
and the funny thing is, you were just walking by me, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I shook your hand and I said, "Do you remember me a year ago?"
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I
it was
remember
so
that.
hard because I had to attend, I think, several years of your event just to really get to know what's going on. And it was really good.
That's good.
And
We had a
do you
great
still
time
do
putting it on.
that? Are you still going to do that?
Yeah, being in a different location, so we have a different team now. I imagine we will probably do some live events,
Okay.
especially since we're in Charlotte. The Republican convention's going to be there. Assuming everything goes off the way it's supposed to go off, we will probably be doing some public stuff for sure.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, make sure that you keep me posted
I
because
will.
I do want to attend. And again, I've always had good experience with your events. And I'm doing another Fire Up Live seminar on October 10.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if you're going to be able to fly and join us again.
It might be hard. That might be hard because that's going to be right in the middle of the final push for the election. So
Oh, that's right.
I'll probably be
And
locked down for
yeah,
that one.
unless
Yeah.
if I can have you on a live stream, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we can see if that'll work.
Okay, well, I'll make sure that I'll figure out. By the way, Brett, I'm also I also have a good relationship now with NBC.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if you're aware that I aired The Real Men of Real Estate on NBC in February.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
because of the TV shows that I've been working for real estate, I wanted to see if there's any way that you and I can collaborate on the projects that I have. So if that's something that you're open, just let me know and give me a call.
I
And
will.
I would
Sure.
like to know your program too, to where I could probably send people to your radio station and see
Yeah.
how we can make that happen.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Let's figure out how we can do that. Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to see you because again, I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me with my Fire Up Live
Oh yeah.
seminar, and that was
Anytime.
amazing. And I know how busy you are. That the fact that you were able to still put some time away to be at my event, that
Sure.
was incredible.
It
Thank you
was a good
so much
time.
for that. Yeah.
Had a great
Uh,
time. I had a great time, and it was a tremendously uplifting experience. And I think everybody in the room was happy to be there that day. It was really terrific all the way around. Him, we made a lot of new friends, which was really great.
yeah, and you connected with Wes too, right? Wes
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Okay. Well, he is so proactive about his company, the WCTE,
Mm-hmm.
and I think
Mm-hmm.
it'll be good to connect with him again because he is pushing this.
Right.
It's good for the football players. I don't know if you're aware of the company, it's all about.
Right.
Were you? Did he
we were, yeah,
let you know what it was?
we were talking. Yeah, he and I were speaking. We spoke for about maybe 20 minutes in between
Okay.
events. And yeah, he caught me up on it, which was really fascinating.
Yeah, I think I'll connect the two of you too because with he is he wants to spread the word about his company,
Hmm.
and I think with your radio station,
Hmm.
I think that's going to be great for him,
Sure.
and even for the people that I need to send to you.
Right. Right.
I'm going to be sending a lot of people to you. I mean, I totally admire your work. That's why. But
Thank you.
anyway, if you can send me more information about your radio, how can we contact you?
Well, your best bet is I'm on Twitter at Winterble Show, Winterble Show on
Okay.
Twitter. You can hear my show if you're in Southern California or any place that's not Charlotte. You can listen to it on radio.com, just radio.com, and look for WBT. I
Okay.
air 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, which is 12 to 3 Pacific time. And yeah, just you can reach out to me through any of those channels. That's absolutely a great way to do it.
All right. Before I let you go, I still have one more question. Last question, I
Sure.
promise. What's your goal for this upcoming years for you, being in a new location and a new station?
Probably professionally speaking, probably just ratings dominance. Moving up into the top tier in the market, making a run at number one, and trying to pull that off. Which I think we've got some real strong horses underneath us, and I think we can do a pretty good job.
Wow.
And basically just continue to grow the program, the brand awareness, and spending more time with my family. Those are probably the most important goals that I
Oh,
have.
wow. Thank you so much, Brett. I mean, thank
Thank
you
you.
again. I know that you're busy, but I really, really appreciate your time. And if you have any free time again, let me know. I will
I will.
try
I
and
will.
schedule you.
I will, absolutely. Thank you so very much for having me on. I really appreciate you, Marie.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.